Good evening and welcome to Dog Talk. Today we're here with Paul Darmody from Winella Border Collies. How are you going, Paul?
Well, thanks, Laura. And yourself?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thank you for having me, I guess, and we've finally convinced you to jump on, which is good.
I only felt sad for you.
Sure, that's what they all say. We'll jump straight into it. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself? Obviously, you grew up here in Bungendore.
Born and bred on the flats of Bungendore, yep. Lived here all my life.
Yep.
Went to school here, went to boarding school in GPS boarding school in Sydney at St Joseph's College. Wasted my parents' money for sure. Dumbest kid in C class. That's okay. Anyway, we can't be all brilliant. Not everyone can be a doctor. So, left school in year 10 or what is nowadays, and came home and decided I wanted to be a butcher. And there's a local shop in my town here that I was hoping that I might have been able to purchase years ago, and the people that owned that shop were hoping to retire, and they certainly made sure that they got out before I came home from boarding school. I know exactly the date I left school, which was about the 20th of November, and they'd sold it about 3 weeks earlier. So anyway, I had to find another job and moved into Queanbeyan and did my apprenticeship in Queanbeyan with some really great people and learnt my trade from there.
How long were you in Queanbeyan for?
A long time.
Yeah.
I owned 3 different shops in Queanbeyan over the time, and then I always lived in Bungendore, but there was always a butcher shop in Bungendore, but run a very good organised family business, and I bought. I could see the supermarkets in Canberra and Queanbeyan were taking over the retail trade, and Sue and myself decided we'd come to Bungendore, and we were expecting our second child, and we came to Bungendore, and we bought this butcher shop in Bungendore. And I thought that would be just a really easy treat to do, come into a little town that you lived in, and everyone would come and shop with you and everyone would know you, and there was no supermarkets, only a little IGA next door to me. And I remember the first or second customer come into my shop said, "Oh, well, we know Don and Bill and what's name were very good in their business. We don't know how you'll go, and we'll give you a try." And I thought, I paid this bloke way too much money. I've got to sell myself to sell the business and start again. So that's part of life is that all the way through life. You've got to be able to support yourself, and if you're going to achieve anything in life, it's not because of your academic or your ability to do it. It's having the knowledge with the effort you put into what you get out of it. And
is that the shop that you originally wanted to buy many years before that, or a different one?
No, I was never interested in buying a shop in Bungendore.
We
just felt that we were getting run over in Queanbeyan because of the supermarkets, the Coles, the Woolies. They've taken a massive share. When I was first butchering in Queanbeyan, there was 27 butcher shops in Queanbeyan itself.
Yeah, wow.
Which is a little town, but now it's now joins Canberra. So today there's one of those shops left in that town, one only town.
But 27 butcher shops in one little town.
Six in the main street when I was an apprentice. But that's how people shop. People shop that way. That's life. Life's changed. Everyone's in the fast lane today. Everyone wants to go after work and shop in a supermarket and get home. It's not a worry. They're all whinge about the prices, but they still shop there. That's life. That's life. You can't change that. Everyone's busy. Everyone's trying to survive.
Yeah. The butcher shop you've got now is quite intensive, though. Do you want to tell us a little bit about how that all works?
If anyone's listening to this story, wants a job in a butcher shop, just give me a call if you're like you're qualified. We run 5 butchers, and a staff of 6 or 7 girls that work in us. When I bought this shop, it's a shop that makes a lot of small goods, and we value add a lot of our product. Our farm is based on supplying our butcher shop.
Yep.
So we send a meat away every week to our to a local abattoirs down at Picton towards Sydney. That's the closest abattoirs for us now. So we send a truckload of stock of 20 bodies, 16 to 20 bodies every week, and 70 lambs down to there. And we put them back through our own shop. So we're very labour intensive. Most butcher shops today use a lot of carton meats, and that's how they survive, because they can't get qualified staff. But we still run on that. But I am the first to say, first to say we're running out of staff.
Yeah.
I run two qualified girl butchers, another apprentice, and one male butchers, and we run 6 or 7 girls. So it's labour intensive. Everything you do on a Monday, you do the next Monday. Everything you do on Tuesday, you do the next Tuesday. People don't like the repetition, but our game is based on that.
Yeah. And you do obviously a lot of paddock to plate, and as well as those smaller goods, you also stock the local IGA, and I believe it's been there's a very high. I can't even think of the words now myself, but it's been nominated for one of the best or
we're
something.
not going to meet cabinets in IGA, but didn't win it anyway. We're never going to win it when some of them are supplied inside their own system. But we. If you're going to do something, to be nominated, and it's great.
It's massive.
To do what we do is it's if you do it properly, you survive. Like if it had been a Woolworths in our town, we wouldn't have half the business we have. But Sue and I work tirelessly to make that stay quite well, and our daughter Hannah is also a major part in the change of all that too, and personalities and staff and looking after clients is a major part of your business. We do a lot of private queue work for people that send their stock away, and we bring that back, and we're meticulous in giving every person back what they owned in that body of beef. And I know there's a lot of people don't quite do that as properly as we do it, but we're very meticulous in looking after the customers in any facet of our business.
Yeah, no chop tax, in other words.
No, mate, no.
Where did dogs first come into your life then?
Probably not long after butchering, when I needed an outlet to do something different. But my father, I lost my dad at a very early age. I was only 12-year-old, so you lived your life then and toughen up and get through life the best you can. So it was, I don't know, when my brother and I used to go to Canberra and watch the Hall dog trials and wander around there and kid yourself about trying to buy a dog off somebody. And then I had a place up at Breadbow, and I bought a dog off Steve Wayman, and anyway, it was a dog called Lee Rose Benji, and he was a very good dog. And I went to Breadbow dog trial. John Perry said, "Mate, got a dog trial in on Breadbow. Come and have a go." We'd been dipping all morning out on the place where we had it at Richie Southwell's, and we went back. And I went back in, and I remember a bloke by the name Bruce Bashford was the judge, and he said to me, "First go, mate." I said, "Oh yeah, never had a crack at this before." Anyway, so I walked out on the peg and said, "Stand there and send your dog." And he said, "Oh, bring your dog a bit closer to the peg, mate." And he said, anyway, I called this dog up, wouldn't move. And I remember Bruce said to me, he said, "Maybe he knows more than you and I know. Maybe we'll leave him where he is." Anyway, cast him, went round, put him in the pen, and that I was hooked. Went to the next trial, got smoked, got disqualified, I think, but I was hooked after the first round. So it's when you're in my industry, it's a tough industry and personalities and that. So I find dogs are the greatest relief in letting me out of putting up with people.
Yeah, well, you see a lot of faces come through the door every day, I bet.
They're right. They're all customers always right until such time as they leave the shop.
Yeah, that's it. I like that one. You mentioned your brother there. You've got a few brothers and a sister.
Yeah, I got 3 brothers and a sister. One bloke's got Kelpies, so I saddled him up too with a good Kelpie. I bought a Kelpie dog off Jeff McDougall at Hay. Probably the first ever dog that made any decent money was sold in an auction, and I paid $5,000 for it. And McDougall Sport was the dog's name. I didn't have a dog on the farm and wanted a good dog, and he was an exceptionally good dog. And I would never have bought a dog at an auction. Only I got to know Jeff McDougall. I saw him work at Hendy Field Day with a border collie one day, and a bucket load of Kelpies. Every other dog in that trial back in those days was all Kelpies, and Jeff smoked his mob with a border collie, I said. And his dog name was Butch. I remember him so well. And but Jeff and I had a relationship. We've been mates ever since. I bought that dog, and he was a great dog, and Peter bred some great Kelpies out of those, and got him into that gig too. He reckons he was a good left-hand polo cross player, but the dog helped him out.
No idea how polo cross has got to do with dogs, but anyway.
Well, he was trying to be a polo cross player.
Along with trialling and all the rest, you've done a fair few laps of Australia, I believe.
Oh yeah, I've been Australian. I was pretty young when I became Australian president of the ASDWA, and I think I've served 10 years in that chair, and
Yep.
that formation was put together by some really people who had the right sport in their mind. When Gordon Young out of Western Australia, Pip Hudson out of New South Wales, Nicky Webb out of Western Australia, when Youngie was out of Queensland. They formated an Australian body under the guidance a bit of Ted Gaby, and
Yep.
who was a great trialer, trying to formulate a national body so that you had somewhere to stand under and
Come together as a country.
And that's right. So
Yep.
that we never knew where it would lead us, but there'd been some people who had gone overseas on individual trips through their states and that, but we needed a national organisation
Yep.
to get some teeth into what our hobby is, and I think. And we've seen the same in the Yard Dog Association. They're two great organisations in what they do, and the Kelpie mob have perfected it probably better than the Border Collies because of where they can sell those dogs into better auction systems and that.
Yeah.
But it's still two great dogs that work on this country that run Australia.
Yeah, and it's horses for courses to a certain degree, isn't it?
Most definitely, and that Australian body is formulated, and that's allowed us to we run a Supreme Australian Championships within every state runs them. We have national sponsors over the different times, and that's made it all available. But it's been great to tour the country and meet the friends and the mates. This isn't about winning dog trials. This is about the friends you make on the way around and the mateship that you have. It's
definitely.
No one. I don't see many people got their names on the cups in many repetitious times. You know, they're people that have just win one, lose one, go to the next one. You know, it's all about that. So it's. You look at different dogs. Everyone has a good dog somewhere in their life, and
definitely,
it might succeed, and then it's the other ones that come up later on. So it's what it is.
And that 10 years, was that a consecutive 10 years?
Yeah, did 10 years as that, and then they decided they didn't like me, so that's okay, and that helped me good. So, but no, that body still runs very well today. It's very superior and runs the three sheeping trial throughout Australia, and still allows us to run those Supremes, and with good high sponsorships, allowed us to support all of our organisations in states to allow us to do what we do today.
All under one banner as
All
such.
under one banner. It's been a great system, and people still, a lot of good people have probably passed by, and there's a lot of still aged travellers that still go to those Supremes to make it what they are.
Yeah. And over the years, obviously you would have seen a lot of change in that 10 years as you president. Can you sort of run us through a bit of the change in that time, but also before you come into it, why you come into it, I guess, is probably a good spot to start.
Probably came in because no one else wanted to be the president, so they conned me into it, a young one. I've always been a fairly enthusiastic person all my life and put my heart and soul into whatever I do. So and I think the people behind me saw that was the way to go, and a lot of those people aren't here today, but they certainly were the backbone of what you're not a one man or
they've supported you throughout it
all the way through, and I suppose one of my biggest supports, I suppose, was the mateship that I made from New Zealand. You know, it's a major part of what I'm all about. I suppose the best way to describe it is a bit like trying to play rugby league and rugby union. When you went over there and playing rugby union against the Kiwis, you can't beat them. You couldn't beat us in rugby league. But we formulated a competition that made it palatable for both countries. Like, we spent a lot of money sending people over there, good dog trialers who couldn't beat the Kiwis, and then the Kiwis would come here and couldn't beat us on our course. And a bloke, gentleman by the name of Tony Shield and Hamish Richmond, who were Tony's has passed a long time ago, and I think his son will be out here with the touring side this coming year as a next prospective president of New Zealand. And Hamish Richmond, we spent a lot of time together formulating with a gentleman by the name of Ginger Angel out to South Island to form a trial that would be competitive in both states. And that's been the backbone of why we have a Trans-Tasman course. We're running a Trans-Tasman trials all throughout Australia now, because it's different. It's half of New Zealand rules where you have to go and help your dog, and now people don't know how to do it. They get over it, they get on with it, and Kiwis can't stand like statues when they're doing our side of it. So it's been reasonably competitive. The Kiwis have probably beat us more times than we've beaten them, which is a bit sad. Their dogs are no better than our dogs by any means, but the non-heading side of the Trans-Tasman course suits their dogs more than ours, and that's probably the bit of the undoing on us. We aren't willing to change a bit of our direction of our dogs to be super competitive on their section of the course.
Yeah.
So and
they obviously stand still better than we help our
well,
dog.
they do, and they probably for a better word, their dogs shoulder better than our dogs, our dogs head better than their dogs, and that brings us a bit undone. And but that's until we run these courses, trials are out, and the Kiwis are back running them big time now as well. So they're getting better teams, and we've got to keep picking our teams. We prick our teams on at a state level and then take them to a national level and pick them out. The Kiwis sit down and after their nationals and name 4 blacks. We're not going to do that.
Yeah.
We turn around and pick the dogs out of a selection trial after they've run, and so it leaves it all a bit above board according to the Australians. So that's how it's done, and we.
Do you think that'll ever change? I know it's a big topic at the moment, but
it is. I don't
whilst I've got you on the spot, I'm going to ask.
I don't think it'll ever change. It's a good system. It makes it competitive. Luck comes a little bit into it, but that's life. It's what's dealt out of no matter whether we're 3 sheep or a yard dog trial. It's what those sheep come out of the top end like that are going to decide whether you're going to be your day or whether you're going to be your sad day.
Yeah.
So that's just how it goes.
Yeah. So the Trans-Tasman, I'm quite new to it all, but when was that formulated?
I reckon somewhere in the mid 1990s that we started to work on it. Like I say, I was very young into it. Tony Shield was the president of New Zealand at the time, and I couldn't give you a definite time, but I reckon it was mid-90s we started to work on that and put a lot of effort into the rules, and those rules have not been tampered with greatly over that period of time. The stockmanship was what we're all looking for in what it was, and we've perfected it. There's some good rules to put together today, and the trouble is now we just got to get more people to try it and do more of it, and that's starting to happen in our country, and we will get on top of these Kiwis and hopefully win them numerous times rather than
Fingers
one
crossed.
here, one there.
Yeah.
Winning's not everything; it's the only thing.
Oh, I like that one. I wasn't sure where you were going at first. Sorry. So were the New Zealanders just as happy as the Aussies were putting that course together?
Very much so.
Yep.
Very much. Actually, one of the biggest sticking points that have come out over the years was the point that in New Zealand, when they run their short courses and things like that they've done for years in the off season, when they only trial between January and June, and then they run what they call short courses and things like that, and that's on a little arena trials where we run arena trials all year. So after their long heads and short heads and hunts courses are finished, that's what they do for the other half of the year.
Yep.
So they when they get to the obstacles, like say of the bridge in our situation, they used to be able to walk the sheep over the bridge. That was what they did. The competitor would walk over the bridge. They did all. They were allowed to do all that. And all those sort of things. And when we were putting this course together, Ginger Anderson was the bloke that said that the rule should be that once the sheep are in the wing of the obstacle, the dog has to put them over. That was always the rule in Australia. But it was a rule that New Zealand brought in. Because they didn't have it in theirs. And the other thing that they do in New Zealand is and they still do it today, is the fact that in their short head and yards, the bloke holds the gate, and as soon as the sheep are in the yard, he can run to close the gate. Well, in the Trans-Tasman, he has to do it Australian way, and that's he's 2 metres back from that obstacle, and the sheep have to be penned, and then he can close the gate.
Then he can close it,
and not at 100 mile an hour to retain maximum points. So they were smart enough to see we had some good points in our trolley, and they've certainly benefited from a little bit from us, and we've certainly benefited a lot from them.
Well, I guess they're back again this year, so we'll get to see them in action for anyone at Geelong.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the Supreme in Geelong later this year will be great. It'll be a great trial, and it'll be great to see that it's we're bringing the Kiwis here, and it's a very costly today. It's all right to put a person on a plane today, but the animals are exorbitant with the money over all the COVID breakdown and stuff like that. So it certainly cost us a lot of money to put a side together. So but it'll be good competition, and we're running Australian Body's running a selection criteria this year of 3 dogs from each state, which is the first time we've ever done that. Whether that's good, bad, or otherwise, there's a lot of conjecture in regards to that. But we'll see whether 3 Queenslanders get picked and no New South Wales ones, or vice versa, or one come from each state. Anyway, it was put together. We're trying things. We want
to try something different. New Zealand are always in front of us. We've got to try something different, don't we?
Yeah, we've got to win it somehow.
Sometimes you need a different coach on that football team, and it all changes.
That's right, and we've started this bit of a change, and it'll be good to see where it all finishes up in the long run.
And obviously, it's changing now, but how's it changed over the years? In terms of, yes, you've already said like the courses come in and all the rest, but how's 3 sheep trialling at that national level changed over the years? Or has it?
Changed immensely. Absolutely immensely. Because we got to go back to when the whole of Australia run on the sheep's back.
Yeah.
We have the people that have come before us in the tree sheep trialling world were people that farmed and worked their dogs enormously over the time. Like, I remember gentlemen from Western Australia, Doug Connor, Phil Slade, fellas like that would come to the eastern seaboard having 10 or 15 dogs, So you had the eras of Greg Prince and people around his era, the Laurie Slaters, John Perry's, great dog triallers. Dog trialling has changed enormously. The sheep have changed, so people have had changed the breed of the type of dogs that you need to work today are totally different dogs that you would have worked back in those days. Like they were tougher dogs. The sheep were tougher, and they worked. You just had to work different dogs, and now we've had to breed our dogs. And I presume, I'm not a Kelpie man, but I presume this would have same happened in the Kelpie world as well. The balancing of sheep, and the other thing we've lost in the 3 sheep world is the knowledge of the people that have gone before us. We've lost those great dog triallers that had great ability, worked those dogs well, good stockmen, and no degrading what we have today. We still have a lot of competitors, but we're trying to help those competitors today, and our industry's changed. We've got a lot of people women have come into our sport, and that's great. But they're trying to read stock is the biggest problem.
It's not natural to a lot of them because they're not doing it all day, every day.
That's right, and reading. You need the day the top three nice sheep drop out of the top end in a 3 sheep round. It's up to you if you've got the right dog and the right ability. But you need to be able to read that stock. You need to be able to put them in that position that you can possibly run that 100 points is what you're trying to do. So trying to read that stock, we've lost a lot of that knowledge, and we need to try and put that back into the people that are coming into our sport. And I'm sure the yard dog blokes are doing the same. Their confinement helps them a lot more than our open areas arenas. We find it tough with people find the arena trialling very tough. They usually, if they fall out of that, they go back into something they do in Sydney in dog trialling,
the ANKC
something like herding and stuff like that. So, but we have some great competitive women that have represent, and you see them in the yard dog as well. So women have a better feel on animals. I don't disagree that one iota, but the knowledge to read stock is where we're lacking in our game. We need to improve that, and we need to get that into our people. They've got their dogs trained, but they can't read their stock.
How do we do that though?
We've got to help these people to make our sport survive. We need to help these people, and we're running out of those senior gentlemen that have that wealth of knowledge. And I know there's people that do training courses and all that, and some of those people will be very good at it. But we need to be, as our major organisations, the yard dog and the 3 sheep arena, we need to educate these people to learn how to read stock. And you learn how to read stock not by working them as much as we need to sit down and just walk courses and talk to people and understand why sheep are going that way, why sheep aren't going this way, and things like that. The worst thing you want when you're trying to work out a course is to have a dog there doing it. You need to physically look
and see it,
and learn to be a judge. Once you learn to judge, you'll learn then to learned a lot of knowledge from watching people. If only that lady would have went by, if only that bloke would have done this, this would have happened, you know.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking for. You got to help people. We're not here. No one wins many dog trials in a row. No matter what sport we're in, the wins are minimal to anybody. So what we need to do is to help people stay in our sport, enjoy what it's all about. It's not about winning. It's about the enjoyment of having your animals, looking after them. Everyone is so conscious today. Look after their stock and the livestock and the dogs. It's not a hard question.
Yeah. No. That. Yeah. I mentioned judging and like how that obviously improves. How long have you been judging for then?
I don't know, probably somewhere through that life I would have been told to step up and do one or something like that.
Hurry up, get out there.
And I've judged at international level, I've judged in New Zealand and judged in Australia. And but you always learn things, you know. You have there's rules there to abide by, but it's how you read that stock too. That's part of what it's all about. People got this fear factor. I think if everyone learned to have a go at judging and stand behind and watch things, you would learn so much more. Everyone wants to tell you how to do it, but then some people don't want to do it. But it's a great way to become a better dog trialer. Yeah,
and did you notice, like you said, it was a better way to become a better dog trialer, but did you notice the change in your dogs soon after, that you were training them different at all?
Still waiting for the change in my dogs. No, I've had some good dogs, and you work, when you work dogs and you see dogs that do things differently and all that sort of stuff. Dogs are great. What you firstly got to find the dog that you like to work. Yeah. Like if you don't like it, find someone you don't like and give it to them. Really simple. Not hard to get on with. And Greg Prince told me that years ago. You do someone. More dogs aren't living on the top of the dirt because of people who couldn't work them. Yeah. You never blame the dog. Yeah. Blame the person. Yeah. It's because we don't put enough effort into what we're doing. We don't give the dog time enough to mature. We in a hurry. And I'm the first person to say that I don't put enough time into my dogs. Yeah. But they're my mates. They're my best friends, you know.
Yeah, they're more than just a dog trial to
you. They're my excuse to why I can still go back to a butcher shop, because the personality's in there. Dog he doesn't back answer me. He only wants 1 feed a day. I clean his yard out. He's okay, and you take him for a run. Yeah. Him and a cold beer, they're the best. That's why I can go back to work the next day, and that's the realisation of why you do it. You know, it's the dogs, and if heaps of dogs don't suit what I want to do, I don't know. I probably would say it, but I don't think I've sold a dog in my life. Yeah. I've given a bucket loads away. Yeah. Doesn't worry me one iota. Yeah. To see my prefixes being worked by any good person or any person in a dog trial suits me fine. Yeah. It's not about the money.
How long did it take for you to get into that mindset, though, that they're not just... They're more than just a dog to you? How long did that, or has it always been like that?
Probably nearly always been a bit like that. Yep. But I've learnt a lot of those people that we don't have anymore in our trade that sort of said, I don't know whether that dog's going to suit you. You've got to figure out what's going to work. A lot of these people, some of the people today working 24/7 on farm, 7 days a week. I can't do that. I go to work between 6 and 6, and so I got to work my dogs outside that. Yeah. And so you've got to find that dog that's happy for you, you know. And I've learnt that off those senior people by listening. Mm-hmm. And a lot of get very educated by listening and not talking. Yeah. And I'm probably not good. I'm good at talking, but I've listened to some great people, you know. And it's a shame that today's generation hasn't got a lot of their history, you know, because there've been some great people working great dogs that didn't win a lot of dog trials with them.
These things didn't exist. No. Like, we didn't sit down and have those conversations and have them recorded.
We did. We had them over grog.
But not recorded.
No. Oh, no. Some of them didn't need to be recorded either.
No. So, like, obviously you mentioned a lot of people, but have you had any, like, real influential mentors throughout the dogs for you?
I think I can learn off anyone that I see in a dog. If I'm judging a dog trial, I can learn off that person. I can learn off every person, the encouraged worker that's working to the person that just ran 100. You know. Yeah. I can feel those people every time I sit in the car. The trouble is, I get too engrossed in watching them sometimes and might be judging the right score because you can learn off so many people, good ones, bad ones, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm the first one that would go and say, can I help you? Can I say something to you? Or if you maybe thought of this or thought of that, don't worry me.
Yeah.
That's, I think we need to, we're all a little bit precious about not helping someone else, but that's what we're trying to do.
It improves the sport as a whole, doesn't it?
It improves the sport, it improves the industry of dogs.
Yeah.
And it's a big value industry today. Like you can't run too many blokes on a farm today. You need a pack of good dogs and a good stockman, and he does a lot of work for you. He's what it's all about. That dog costs you a bag of biscuits, and he doesn't. He turns up every day and doesn't need long service leave.
Doesn't tell you what you're doing wrong.
Nice in the butcher shop.
Just feed him a bag of dog food.
That's it.
No cash money.
No cash money, my friend. All above board.
No, I mean, you don't have to pay him a wage.
Oh, right. Oh,
yeah. I just lost my train of thought after that.
Oh, so you still pay cash, eh?
Oh, I like cash. Everyone likes a bit of cash.
I don't. I'm totally pay my taxes.
Oh, lucky you.
I'm one of a few.
What about when you were younger, though? Was there someone you sort of followed that sort of got you into it more? Like you mentioned, John Perry got you to your first trial. You've obviously spent a lot of time travelling with him too, as through other conversations we've had. Was it really just him, or was it a group of people, or
there was
especially when you were younger?
There was a lot of very, very genuine dog trialers in those days. The trial that came from the West and a lot of Victorians and things that I probably had a few Queenslanders, but people like John Perry and Laurie Slater. Laurie Slater lived in the hills of Gundagai half his life and come out of there as the wildest cowboy you've ever seen.
Yeah.
But I don't think he ever became what am I trying to say? A great dog trialer, other than the fact he was a great stockman.
Yep.
And he won his dog trials because of
the way he read stock.
He read stock, not because his dog was trained, it's because he knew exactly what to do, when to do it, and that. And maybe he mightn't win as many dog trials today because the stock aren't as educated as what they would have been in those days. But those people had a lot to give you, like the John Perrys, Greg Prince. Greg Prince would tell you anything you ever wanted to know. Great stockman. You got Mick at this stage of his life working at a younger bloke coming through the system. Great stockman, good, got to be country, and people say, he's only show dogs, but those dogs can't. Those dogs read stock better than a lot of trial dogs. So it's certainly
it shows that they're not just trial dogs. Yeah,
so you can believe what you believe, but to me, mixed dogs do work.
They speak for themselves, don't they?
That's right. They're well-bred dogs, and they obviously do stock work and that to make them better. And I just see that happening a lot today, that the dogs that do a bit of farm work and a bit of here and there and put a bit of an edge on those, you can only tell a dog so much. You've got to leave a little bit in his own barrel. And they're the dogs that I like, dogs that can think and move without you having to tell them. The dog's got to be quicker than you.
Yeah.
So, and it's the same in the yard dogs. Those good Kelpie dogs have got to be
the ones that are working all the time too.
I watched Steve Wayman years ago with a bucket load of dogs and Chris Stapleton and fellas like that. They were packload of good dogs, and they'd all back and bark and do whatever you want them to do. But they probably, I would have thought maybe some of Steve's dogs in those days would be way too tough for today's dog trial. But I used to love watching them. They were good dogs, and a big tough dog, Mac, and all them fellas were good dogs, and that's how I today they used to top-notch sheep and turn them upside down and get them on trucks. And I don't think you're even allowed to do that anymore.
Probably not.
But I tell you, it depends how cranky you are if you're loading stock. Go hard
at it.
Hard at it as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better be them doing it than you on in there, push them and shove them up to the shed.
That's it.
Most of Australian stock sheep aren't trained as well as they were in those days. So they don't respond as well to what was done years ago.
How have the dogs changed? Like, obviously, like you said, there's a lot of women and people coming from Sydney and Brisbane, all these different city areas, I guess you'd say, and I'm from there, so I guess I can sort of say it like I'm one of those people. But other than that, how have the actual dogs themselves changed?
The sheep have changed, and the sheep have changed the dogs. Yeah. In my opinion.
How have the sheep changed?
Sheep, because more chased on motorbikes and any other thing you want to chase them on and things like that. I don't think the horse and the dog is as much as what he used to be. It's a motorbike, and all of a sudden you see the motorbike fly it over there and turn those sheep back in rather than send that dog over there to do it. So we turned our sheep more electronic sort of animals than when they were all totally worked by dogs and things like that. So I think we need to be very careful about that, and to keep our sports surviving the way they are, we need to be super conscious of that to do as much as we can with our dogs, and instead of make your dog run out to cast out of 200 metres rather than let him come in on a cast and that. And the Kiwis do that today better than us. They still run those hills that I went to a Marama years ago. It was 870 metres to the top of the where the sheep were. So you punch him up a hill at 870 metres. He's a long way up, and that dog has
got to think for himself.
He's got to be driven all that way, and he's got to crown at the top of that, pick those sheep up and bring them down that hill in straight line as possible. Like we'd nearly have to take some of ours up with the helicopter, I'm afraid. And they
drop them off the edge.
And they still take that up. There's a lot of. You worked at the South Island in mustering time, they still take dogs under their choppers, fly them to the top. You're allowed one head or one hunt away. Young jackaroo blokes get over there, girls and that, and that's what you're allowed to have, and then you muster all that southern country. That's great stockmanship.
Yeah, unbelievable.
We've lost a bit of that.
Yeah. I'm too busy listening to think about questions, but where do you see the sport going is probably my next question for you. Like, obviously it's changed a fair bit, and you've said how, the dogs have changed and all the people have changed, but we're not reading stock the same as we used to and all the rest. But where do you see the future of the sport? How do we get there? How do you see us, getting to that next level of trialling and maybe out into the world a bit more? And
I think there's still some great people around.
Yeah.
But we need to tap into those people. You need to ask questions. We need to help the younger generation coming into both sports, both yard and Kelpie dogs and border collies.
I'm going to butt in on you here, sorry, but it's actually really nice to hear you talk about both sports as a whole, because we don't get many people doing that. Have you actually ever yard trialled? Yeah, and for how,
And I'd go back tomorrow if I had a border collie that'd back and bark and beat a Kelpie. Suits me fine. And I won one in Canberra at a show. Haven't been back since. But when I had my Deagle Sport, I ran him. I've run a hunt away at Hendy just because it was a bet.
But it's nice to hear you talk about it as a whole, because we hear a lot of people talk, you're either a three sheep or you're a yardie or a cattle trial.
No.
And my opinion is we all fall under the one banner. If one association stuffs up, I guess you could say it affects everyone, whether that is, someone's seeing something happen and it goes viral or whatever. But it affects not just New South Wales sheepdog workers. It affects the yard, and it affects the cattle, and it affects Victoria and Queensland. And I think it's nice hearing you talk about
but go back to,
all of it.
Talk about the cattle. I wouldn't cattle trial because I can bash my own dogs up doing my bit. But I see that trial up at Carra the other day, the older stock milk dog, and the cattle section looked really good. And I think that's great. There's some you see all this northern part of New South Wales, Queensland with the cattle trials. That's great. But what I have noticed was, and I'll probably be wrong saying this, but I've seen the standard of dogs in cattle trialling. It gets so much better in their finesse and their work on their stock to where back in the days gone by, they wanted them hanging off the front of them and hanging off the back of them and all that. Well, I think that's just a job for Blake with a pair of wise trainers, as far as I'm concerned, fixing the fences. I think the standard of cattle dog trialling has come a long way, and I think they've bred those dogs to be so much better than what they were before. That may be totally wrong, but that's my perception of what I've seen of cattle dog trialling, and I think that's great. I can sit down and watch any dog working. I can watch those agility, those ones that jump all over them things and through the hoops and over the other side, and the poor old lady running behind's 100 metres. I think they're great. The dog's done the course and finished. Who cares?
I just wanted to mention that it's nice to hear you talk about it as a whole and dogs as a whole.
But I got cattle here. We're feeding cattle here all the time. I live on the edge of town. I can't afford to be bashing cattle over the fences and things like that. We're working with dogs.
Especially so, you say on the edge of town, but you're 20 minutes from Canberra too. So you've got a lot of tourism in this town as well that you just can't have things.
I get more people come into my butcher shop and you've got a fly-blown sheep or something's dead or something's caught in a fence or something like that. Yeah. I get thousands of people look after my farm. They would drive past it every day and they make a comment on it.
Yeah.
So
you've got to have it at a high standard.
You're at a standard that and it probably could be higher by a long one. But you're a subject to today's society. So all our dogs need to be looked after, kept well, and worked appropriately. I think the cattle trial blokes are a great asset to the whole system, same as the Kelpie. So you can't judge between one and the other.
It's nice to hear you about it. Yeah.
I think what we need to do is I would like to see a trials run where we can do more uniform trials like that other one, or short course trials that the Kelpie blokes come back into our game and try our sport. I know the board don't back and that brings them undone, but in our sport they could come back and finesse their game and be quite competitive at it, and that's what we need to do. Like we've had I run the Hendy one every year and we have 5 or 6 people out of there every time. Kevin Owl hasn't been in about every top 20 there for the last 10 years. I'll give it away.
Yeah.
But that's great.
Yeah.
So that's great to see those. But he's no spring chicken either, but there's not many other blokes coming over to have a crack. But, and last year we threw $10 in and someone in the yard dog against the other one and had the scores together, winner took the money. So I'm in for any adventure that helps
grow it all together.
And
I guess that probably comes back to where we were before, was like, how do you see it growing? How do we grow it so that those people do get involved as well?
You got to educate the people who are in both sorts of that trialling. We got to help people. We can't take our secrets to our graves.
Yeah.
Go to the yard dog place. You got Luffy, Billy Luff, fellas like that, great stockmen. Mm-hmm. They have so much to give to people. Give it to them.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Win a dog trial every now and again? Like, same in my game. I'd give anyone any advice they would like to ask, and that's how I learned it. People like Greg and Laurie and John were fellas that were great. Pip and fellas like that, great educators. They helped a lot of people, and you listen to fellas in other states, and the Three Sheep people have different courses wherever they go and things like that. So it's all different. We've got a Trans-Tasman course that we run throughout Australia. So no one's doing the same thing everywhere. It's all a change standard. And when you want to go overseas, or it's like your farm. Every time you do something at the farm, you're going through a different gate. You're going one way, you're going another way. So we got to help people in our sport. We need to educate people, encourage them to come into our game, and because they've all got the dogs that have probably got the ability, and sadly the people may not have the ability.
Yeah.
So we need to build the ability in the people.
Yeah.
And it's not about getting beaten by it. It's about helping somebody else.
Yeah. So that obviously most people know that Three Sheep trialling is more than just a weekend sport. It often is, a Thursday, sometimes starting on a Wednesday through to Sunday. How do we get more young people into it? Because not everyone has the luxury of either working for themselves or working online or being able just to get time off. How do we grow the sport with younger people coming in? Have you got an idea for that?
Well, yep. Help people to come into that sport. If you enter a draw in New Zealand, for argument's sake, you enter your 5 dogs. You don't get a chance to run those dogs where you run them. They draw them where your best dog might be the first dog out on the first day.
Yep.
So we need to help people come into our sport, and if that means we got to run an extra day, like if the local club that I'm involved help with, if all the locals have got to run on the Thursday, so that we can let all the Kelpie blokes come in on a Saturday.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, who really cares?
Yeah.
It's still what we're trying to do, isn't it?
Yeah, it's growing the sport.
It's all about growing the sport and the friendship and what you pick about. We're too regimental in if you miss your turn, you can't have a go and all this sort of stuff. Like, people say, you get a better sheep here. I'd like to go down and give everyone a tin of paintbrush and they could pick their own 3 sheep out and have a crack, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It'll be the greatest laugh in my world, because you don't know what the sheep's going to do when it comes out.
Yeah.
So,
and you still got to have the buttons on your dogs to make it work.
Yeah,
like you
that's
said,
right.
you could have the best 3 sheep come out, and if you can't read them, well then...
You're gone.
Yeah.
But like people say, oh, I don't want those 3 sheep because it's his turn before and I'll get a better 3 sheep after him. Well, they're dreaming. Absolutely dreaming.
Yeah.
So don't ask a shearer, the next one's just as rough as the one he just saw, so don't get too carried away.
Especially when they're all coming from the same mob anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Other than that, where do you see it in 10 years? Like,
Well,
do you see us on a larger forefront?
That'll depend on the people today to help it grow.
Yeah.
That's what it all boils down to.
Yeah.
I think there's some great youth in it all at present, and that youth needs to be exposed and bring people forward. Like everyone, once upon a time in Sydney, everyone had a Pomeranian sitting on their lap and a lap dog or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
But today they've got a Border Collie or a Kelpie and they're running around Hyde Park trying to stay fit.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we need to bring them to the bush and show them how to stay fit and do a bit more with their dog, you know. A lot of dogs get wasted in those situations, and we should be trying to encourage those people to get out into the area and have training days and stuff like that. And we could do heaps of things. We could have Kelpie competitions against Border Collies and here and there and different things. Like there's a heap of young people around. We just need to get more adventurous in what we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're good parts to it, you know. We just got to grow our sports.
Yeah.
That's all about it. We're two individuals wanting to think we're better than everyone else. We're not. Just go and have some fun. Enjoy what you do. And I think the Yardies do that better than the 3 sheep with all our mob duck in the caravans. I think we need to go down the pubs more and enjoy it all. But anyway, it's a great sport, and people we need to help encourage other people to come into it. That's the bottom line to it, to the growth of it, of 3 sheep, cattle and yard. Don't mind.
Yeah, and short courses. You obviously have spent a bit of time in New Zealand, and Jeff Gibson has started up the short courses in Queensland. Do you see them ever coming down to New South Wales, or how we could incorporate them?
There's enough time in the day to run one run a week. I think they're a great thing. And you can build them. I saw one, and there's one this weekend in New Zealand, and it was a very well built one, because he didn't, when he got to the bridges and stuff like that, he didn't let the sheep go around on the left hand side. He had a barricade there, so the sheep actually went over the bridge and the competitor walked over the bridge. You don't make them so they become a chore. You make them so people succeed in what they're doing. There's still you'll still get a winner, but don't make it so that hard you can't do it. And that's a bit of our course. 3 sheep and people make it a bit tougher and frighten people out of our game, you know. And that's a bit of a shame. It
could be a stepping stone in a lot of ways.
Oh, most definitely should be. Yep. You can put them in dressage arenas or something like that, or covered arenas. You can have some great fun in those because they're all confined. You can run a sheep around one day and run them the next day, you know. It's not about that. It's about how the dog handles them and how you put them through the course anyway.
Yeah. Any advice to young people coming into, whether it be agriculture, farming, butcher shop, dogs?
Butcher shop, just enjoy life. Honestly, let's not here for that long. Enjoy it while it's here, and just take all the knowledge you can take in. There's so many nice people in the world that can give you good knowledge. Just forget the rubbish and seek all the nice knowledge and the ability to get through life and enjoy animals. Animals are a great part of our life, whether they're horses or you're showing cattle or running sheep or whatever you're doing. They're a great part of the rural life. People don't understand. We get a minimal vote in how the world runs, but we certainly enjoy what we do. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it.
Yeah. Is there anyone you'd like to see us get on Dog Talk? I did twist your arm, but is there anyone else that we should be...
I have no friends.
Well, no. I'm not going to disagree there.
That's all right. No, I think you do a great job, Laura, and I think what you do to promote our sport is great with your book and yourself, and I think it's a great effort to what you do, and it's a tough gig, and you're trying to make it all work, and I think that what you do is credit to our sport and credit to yourself.
Thank you. I don't know what to say, but thank you.
No worries, mate.
Well, thank you for getting on Dog Talk. But is there anyone you'd like to see us? Or you're not going to put their name out like this?
No.
Righto.
Have a good night.
Thank you.